What's up, guys? I'm Mike from StockedUp, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We had a very flat yet crazy day in the market today. We have a lot of news coming out right before the election with COVID, with earnings, with just general market news, and there's just a lot of things going on in the market. We are 1 week away from the election, so we're having some very interesting movement in the market so far. I mean, we've been having some weird movement for the past month, but now it's just getting crazier. We can just see some very weird things in the market right now. Like we saw a lot recently, we're seeing companies report really strong earnings and literally do nothing in their earnings, like their earnings reaction, you could say. So if we look at Microsoft in after hours, right now, Tom has it pulled up. Microsoft reported great earnings, and we're going to get into this later in the video, but they're actually falling right now. They beat earnings, they beat their revenue by $2 billion, and they're falling in after hours right now. And this is just one example. There's just a lot of crazy things going on right now. And we're going to cover all of this later in the video. So before we get into the video, if you guys aren't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe to see our daily videos on our YouTube homepage. And with that being said, Tom, what happened in the stock market today?
Yeah, CNBC reports that COVID hospitalizations are rising in 36 states as the U.S. hits another record for average new cases. And the average number of patients hospitalized with COVID-19 over the past 7 days rose by 5% in those 36 states as of Monday, according to a CNBC analysis of the COVID tracking project. And also over the past 7 days, the U.S. reported an average of 69,967 new cases per day. That's the highest 7-day average ever recorded yet since the virus started, according to the CNBC analysis of the Johns Hopkins data. And this is just crazy stuff, and we can see that it's really affecting the market in a negative way, especially over the past few days. And as these numbers get worse and worse, I would just expect a lot of people to get more scared, and possibly, a lot of people have said a possible second wave is coming, and it seems like it's already here. And, it's just not a good time with the election and everything going on all at once. And it's just really negative right now.
Yeah, I think the main thing to focus on, like you said, is, it's not just the COVID numbers that are making the market fall right now. It's a combination of 1, the COVID numbers, 2, the stimulus deal, 3, the election, and 4, earnings season. So just to have all of these catalysts all at once, it's just making the market weird. And like you said, we saw the market fall for the past couple days, which isn't a great sign. The market definitely doesn't like those numbers. However, I don't like the market isn't panicking like it was back in February and March off of that. And I believe the mortality rate is falling, which is a great sign to see. So
yeah, and tech still isn't doing terrible. Like the QQQ was still positive today, at least.
Yeah, so the Dow slid about 200 points today. Caterpillar, Boeing, and Triple M were some of the main stocks that dragged the Dow down. Boeing was down about 3.5%, Caterpillar down a little over 3%, Triple M down about 3%, and actually Walgreens was down a little over 3% too. So the Dow did not have a great day, but like you said, tech kind of held up.
Yeah, for sure. And then Microsoft, like we talked about in the beginning of the video, reported great earnings, and the company's gross margins benefits from an accounting change related to depreciation of server equipment per CNBC. And Microsoft's intelligent cloud segment, featuring Azure enterprise services, GitHub, and server products such as SQL Server and Windows Server, contributed $12.99 billion in revenue, up 20% year over year, and more than the $12.73 billion consensus analysts polled by FactSet. So Microsoft really beat the analyst expectations here, and their earnings were actually really good. As we can see, they had 1.82 EPS versus a 1.54 estimate. That was a great beat. The revenue was $37.15 billion versus a $35.72 billion estimate. So they beat their revenue by just about $2 billion. That's a great number to hear. And as we talked about, they're still going down right now in after hours. It was kind of a crazy after hours where if I go to the 1 minute, you can really see how this roller coastered back and forth between this channel here. And it was just a good channel that it, obviously traded between, but having great earnings like this and seeing these stocks down is just a catalyst that the overall market right now is just crazy. And that's why the VIX is up today. And there's just a ton of volatility in the market. And this is going to kill a lot of guys who are, in Microsoft calls today. And it's just one of those things that, you just have to have the lesson learned, I guess.
It just goes to show you that just because a company reports great earnings, it doesn't necessarily mean that their stock price will go up. And especially in this market, it's just not safe to trade earnings. I mean, we've been saying this in almost every episode for at least the past couple weeks now, why we don't like to trade earnings. And even if you predict a direction correctly, you can still lose money. And in a case like Microsoft, in a lot of other companies recently, these companies just aren't moving up or down off of earnings. In that scenario, both the calls and the puts are really taking a beating. So just please be careful if you're considering playing any earnings. I know that we are in earnings season. We have a lot of huge companies reporting, but you just have to be careful. A lot of companies recently are just having this weird movement where they're not moving up or down, and that hurts both people who buy calls and puts. So just please be careful if you're considering playing earnings.
Yep. And then the last piece of news is that the Senate is actually adjourned until after the election without a stimulus deal. After confirming Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced that the Senate would be recessed until November 9th. So the Senate's not even going to be in session until November 9th. So they can't get anything passed until then. And crucial COVID-19 data was actually expected to come from Pfizer this week and is now unlikely to come. And in the meantime, the U.S. is experiencing a third wave of the coronavirus cases, setting a new daily record of cases on Sunday. And around 23 million people are collecting unemployment benefits right now. And that's how this ties in to the Senate, because they really needed that bill to get passed, because a lot of people are going to lose those benefits at the end of the year. And if they're not, adjourned and actually voting on passing these bills, then no progress is going to get done. And those people are going to lose those benefits.
Yeah, I just can't wait until the election's over, until there's a stimulus deal passed, and until everything calms down with COVID. I know the market's crazy right now. The economy in the world's pretty crazy right now, but better times are ahead. So I'm just waiting for everything to be done with and for the market to just be so much more simple. And I think that should happen relatively soon. We have four main things that are just making the market so weird and crazy right now: the election, earnings season, COVID, and the stimulus deal. We're getting closer to the election and the stimulus deal, and I think it'll just be a lot easier to trade very soon. So
yeah, and if you can trade now successfully, that's a really good thing, because if you can trade now, you can trade in almost any market, because this market has been crazy. And when do we see the ES have swings like this? Like on a yearly chart, like I never see swings like this besides back in like 2008.
Right. I mean, no one has. I mean, it was such just an unexpected event, COVID back in February and March. It was just a crazy year. And thankfully, we're coming to the end of it. So with that being said, now let's get into our our YouTube member of the day. And today's member of the day is David C. This person is always leaving comments on our YouTube videos, which really helps us out. If you guys don't know, comments really help us grow our channel. We're just under 30,000 subscribers, and David has been leaving a lot of comments lately, and it just really helps us, and we really appreciate it. So we just wanted to give David a little shout out. And I know there's a lot of you that leave comments, and Tom and I really appreciate it, and we always look through all the comments. So thank you guys so much for that. But now let's get into our momentum plays for tomorrow. And the first one is PLTR. So this
PLTR.
this stock had a great day today, up about 10%. Tom, what levels should we be watching?
Make them go ahead and hit above 1135.
Awesome. And then the next one is PINS, which is Pinterest.
Pinterest, another social media company, make them go ahead and hit above $53.
All right. And then NIO.
Neo, make them pop above 28.65.
All right. And then last but not least, we have CAT.
Caterpillar, unfortunately, they didn't do well today, but I like this company. Make them fall below 157.
Awesome. So we are eyeing all of them to the upside except for CAT, which we are eyeing for the downside. I actually saw a lot of unusual options activity on CAT for put options. So CAT might be a good continuation play for the next week or so.
Yeah, I could see that, and actually going out on a long-term chart that kind of starting to break this trend, so I like it.
Awesome. So now for the unusual options activity for tomorrow, and we are looking at the Microsoft 220 strike call options that expire this Friday, October 30th. So Microsoft right now is at $213. These options are the 220 strike calls that expire this Friday, and the smart money got in this trade before earnings. So with that being said, I am pretty confident that the smart money is shorting these options because Microsoft obviously didn't have a great reaction, at least in their stock, off of their earnings report. And these options expire in like 3 days. So with that being said, it really looks like they're shorting these options, which means they want Microsoft below $220 each. All right, so now let's get into our comments from the previous episode. With the first comment, we have Kid California saying, great videos. I very seldom miss one. I have a question about the IV crush that happens after earnings. Let's say you bought some call options months before earnings and the IV was low at the time, and then the IV runs up before earnings. Will you still suffer with the IV crush after they report earnings, even though the IV was low when you bought? So this is a great question. Great question here. I'm sure a lot of other people have questions on this topic. And there's no simple answer to this question because there are so many variables. It depends a lot on the stock's movement. It depends a lot on the theta and vega of your underlying option. And it also depends a lot on when your option expires. Now, I will say this. Generally, when implied volatility falls, it affects all options in a negative way. When implied volatility falls, the price of the options are going to fall. However, if you have an option that expires let's say it's earnings, right? And you bought this option months before earnings, like you said, but let's say the option expires in like 2 years, it is like the IV crush, it is going to affect your option, but it's not going to be like significant. So to answer your question, yes, like whenever the implied volatility moves, the option will be affected. But there are so many different variables into this question that it's hard to give like a simple like one answer fits all questions type of answer. There's just so many variables, but the main variables in this question are the options theta and vega. So those are two options Greeks that theta works off of the decay for the option, and then vega represents how sensitive the underlying option is to change in volatility. So yeah, like I said, basically when IV falls, the option's going to fall in value, but as long as your option has a good amount of time, it won't hurt you too much. So
And I would think the biggest thing that would hurt him would be the time decay, like you said, the theta.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what comes with that is as long as you have a good amount of time with the option, you should be fine. All right. So with the next comment we have, Hunter saying, awesome video. Rest in peace to some of those options on earnings. Geez. So that's a great point. Like Tom and I have been talking about. I mean, you look at Tesla on earnings, you look at Microsoft on earnings, and you look at so many other companies that are just reporting earnings and then are just flat afterwards. I mean, it just totally screws over anyone who bought an option before that. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, the best way to trade earnings right now is to just not trade them at all, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, that's definitely my opinion too. I just would not even touch earnings. I haven't been touching earnings for a few years now, personally. I mean, I've gotten in a couple. I think I I think I looked at like a Snapchat earning a long time ago or something. But other than that, I have not gone into any earnings. And I think it's just one of those things that once you get burned on it enough, you'll eventually stop trading earnings.
Yep. And then we have Auntie saying, quick question. I heard that MGLG is on a comeback. I am not here to pump penny stocks, but it is certainly interesting trading at 0.0001. Do you recommend these kind of stocks? So I'm just going to simple answer. No, I do not recommend those type of stocks. Tom, do you like these stocks?
No, I don't like these stocks either. I mean, I can't even see the movement on my TD Ameritrade chart. So I personally wouldn't like it. I mean, I'm apt to trade some penny stocks if they're like decent and they're moving decent. I understand why some people try to trade them off of technicals and stuff, but trying to hope like a 0 cent penny stock pops up to like 20 cents or even $1 or something, that's really not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, at one point in time, a long time ago, I did trade these type of stocks, but they are complete gambles. Like it's one thing to trade penny stocks, that where a stock's trading at 50 cents or 90 cents or even
Or like this one, like you here at like 1.54.
right, exactly. Like even like $1.50 stock, but it's a completely different thing to trade a stock that's trading at 0.00005. Like that's just it's crazy. And I know where like you're coming from with this. A lot of beginners or penny stock traders get caught up in these type of stocks, and they're just so risky and they're so manipulated, and it's just not worth the investment, from my opinion. A lot of them are illiquid. A lot of them just dilute their company, in a very large majority of these stocks just end up going bankrupt if they aren't already, and they end up just losing whatever money you invest. That's just from my experience. And when a stock's trading at 0.00005, clearly there's something wrong with the company. So in my opinion, it's just best to stay away from them. All right. So, Tom, with that being said, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for tomorrow?
Yeah, not too much. I'm really looking at GLD though. I know I've been talking about this one a little while, but it's kind of fallen out of a long-term wedge. And I know that this follows gold, but it really likes to move off of this technical. And I really think that if the overall market ends up going down, I think that gold will go down. So /GC would be the ticker that GLD follows on TD Ameritrade, and /GC is gold futures. So as long as gold futures are down, GLD will go down. But even if it goes up, I could even see it going up. But I just like trading GLD. The options are very liquid, and I just love the way they move. And you can get into a lot of $50 swings per contract pretty easily almost every day.
Yep. And then one last thing I want to cover is the VIX index. So not VXX, but the actual VIX index, VIX. This was up about 3% today. And I just want to point out what this fundamentally means. This means like we can see that for the past 2 days, the VIX index has risen substantially. And all this means is that the prices of SPX options are increasing. So what that means in like layman's terms is the market makers are expecting volatility very soon because the prices of SPX options are rising. It means that the market makers are just expecting more volatility and more swings. So I just want to point that out. And normally when we see this, the market falls. Not always, but I just want to point out basically what this means. So normally when the VIX rises, normally we see the market fall after. And we're seeing the VIX rise for 2 days in a row. And they're pretty decently sized green candles, especially yesterday.
Yeah, and SPY pop a little support right at the end of the day.
Yeah, isn't it falling in after hours right now?
Yeah, it's falling almost down to the 335 support.
All right. So, yeah, very interesting to see. And we will definitely see what happens tomorrow. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Tom and I really appreciate all you guys for watching to the end. And thank you guys so much for everyone who leaves a comment on the videos. It really helps grow our channel. And there's just so many of you guys who are leaving comments, and we really appreciate it. It really helps grow the channel, and we're so close to 30,000 subscribers. If you guys want to try out the options day trading bot, you can click the Stocked Up Options Alerts link in the description down below. And if you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, Thanks for watching.